Hey, Chad.
How's it going?
It's going great. Do you know Chris Lollaby?
Oh, no, great to meet you,
What
Chris.
what's up, Chad? How are you?
Alive and well, still hanging in there.
That's good.
Yeah, you guys are both doing some great stuff. Chris is in the mental health, substance use disorder. He speaks a lot. He's with the operators union up in New Jersey,
Oh, sick. Okay.
and so he's been doing so much good work there and taking that stigma away. And Chad is all about this performance and getting people really paying attention to all the things we know we should pay attention to. Um,
That's good.
Plus, he's got this, a software. I mean, it is a software company.
It
If
is.
I
Yeah,
if I
yeah,
had to name it, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Tell
Yeah.
him a little bit more about that.
Well, it's a software company as software specifically for subcontractors.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically estimating mobile apps, accounting, and project management all together. But
Awesome.
yeah, and then yeah, but on the flip side, yeah, we focus just on mental basically a pretty strong diligent mental fitness course um, that we have our entire team stick with as a part of their job.
That's cool.
So it's a very proactive approach to mental health. Yeah, so it's
That's good. Sometimes it's just about like I was just saying to Brent before you popped on it. I have a company I'm doing a morning session for next week, and sometimes it's just to get people thinking a little differently.
exactly.
Just open up and think a little bit differently. And when you sit, you hit them kind of with the realities of life of divorce, aging parents, kids getting bullied, things like that.
Yeah.
It's people start to look at it like, yeah, that would give you a bad day,
Yeah.
Exactly.
you know. So the guy with the rough attitude or isolation, it's a good time to say, hey, you want to talk about it, I'm here to listen. You want to go get a coffee, something, anything,
Yep.
Yeah.
anything.
All right. We got some OGs coming here. Rob McKinney,
Oh,
Tanya.
Robbie
Hey,
boy.
Rob. Tanya,
Rob's here.
welcome.
Tanya showed up. That's awesome. Hi, Tanya. It's
Tanya,
Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Tanya,
How are you?
Good.
how are you?
Very well, and you?
Doing well.
Good.
Yeah, oh wait, we got more people coming. Good. All right, Gil Polk's coming, Therese is coming, Craig's coming. There are standbys. All right, cool. And it's 8:30. Let's get started. I got some cool stuff today. Let's start with our 1 to 10. Remember, one is uh, really not doing well, not sleeping, not eating well, not managing stress, not connecting with humans. That's a 1. 10 is feel great, look great, sleeping great, eating well, exercising regularly, connecting with family and friends on a regular basis. That's a 10. What's your number? You can either just unmute and tell us or chat in and in the chat, what's your number today? Wow, Craig's an 8. Wow. And Gil's 5. Okay. We got some lower scores today. Rob's a 5. All right. And Chris, you're a steady 6. For me, I'm probably a 5. It's been a rough week. I've taught at Auburn a couple of days this week and coming off a lot of travel. We got Chab's a 7, Therese is a 5. All right, we're like 5 to 7 mostly for the group. So then the next question we always ask is, and anybody want to unmute and tell us your number?
I'll tell you my five. I when you
All right,
when you repeated five, you said yeah, yeah.
all right,
Just
all right. Artie, what's your number today?
Today it's gonna be a 7. Just a little tired, end of the
All
week,
right,
but
cool.
morale's high.
So then we always ask the next question: what one thing could you focus on in the coming week to get that number up higher, even if it's just by one digit higher? What would you focus on? What's your go-to? You can chat it in, or you can unmute and tell us. For me, it's always sleep. Sometimes it's exercise, but also I'm going to get adjusted today, a chiropractic adjustment. That's going to help a lot. Um, so, Rob, sleep in a hotel? What is that?
So I've been home this week and our dog got sick. Been up 2 nights in a row with
Oh
a
no.
upset dog. So this weekend we're going on a small trip. So I'm looking forward to that hotel to be away from this
I
animal for
see.
24
Well,
hours.
Rob, since you're a five, man, you know I'm here if you need me to support you this week.
I
Okay.
appreciate you.
All
I
right.
appreciate you.
Anybody else? Us.
I,
Chris has got the self time. Good. Serve. Gil, what's serve mean?
I just sleep is definitely the recalibrator, but
Yeah.
just coming out of a midlife crisis, and I read a learning design professional say yesterday, we're not here to make people happy, we're here to make people perform better. And I just
Mm.
wanted to say, why did you say that? You know what I mean? And so it really clarified a lot for me about the people that I don't want to hang around and the people I do.
Yeah.
And
Like you could never have both of those, right? You could never have both.
God forbid.
Yeah, right.
Right, right. So anyway, serve is just my intuition woke up this morning saying you've got all these tools and this power and you're just thinking about it too much. So
All right.
just get out there and help some people. Yeah.
All right. Anybody else want to weigh in that maybe I missed you on the chat? What's your go-to when your numbers drop a little bit? Boy, it's
Mine's
nice.
always sleep.
Yeah,
Yeah, sleep
too.
and exercise.
Yeah, those are my two for sure. All right. So we're going to continue this discussion today. Thank you all for sharing that. We're going to continue our discussion about communication. And we talked last time about making people, being fully present and sort of making it about them and really listening. We did some listening exercises with some rants and some things. So let's talk about how do you make that other person be the center of that. If you're a one-on-one, what is there any tricks that you have or focuses that you have that makes them make it all about them? Like, is there any trick that you use? And I'm going to do an exercise that will really bring this to bear. But if you've got some hacks, let's share them with the group. Chris, what do you got?
I don't think it's a hack, but it's yeah, I always make it personal. Where I put it on myself. I'm worried about you. I care about you. Not so much whether and I tell this to people. It's not so much, well, the company this or the boss that. It's me.
Right.
I'm
right.
coming to you authentic as me.
Right. I love that. And do you feel like that allows them to open up a little more?
It does because it kind of takes the work element away from it.
Yeah.
So, it's just you and I talking. So,
right.
Let's forget about all the other stuff. Let's
All
just
right.
you and
Cool. Anybody else?
So we sometimes use what we call indirect checks.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't come at if we recognize that there's like signs of excessive epinephrine in their eyes or a little bit, you could just tell there's something going on. We use indirect checks. We don't come at them unless we've got a really good relationship with them directly. We'll ask like 1 to 3 questions about workload, like, hey, is there anything? Do you feel that there's anything at risk this week that you might need help on? Are there any projects that you feel that are starting to get underwater that we can throw some more resources on? Mm-hmm. So we start asking. There's 3 questions, but we'll ask various versions of that. And when we see that they need some help, a one-off is okay. But if we see a pattern in it, we know there's an underlying issue,
right.
and then we'll either go directly at them to see if they're willing to talk about it, or the person who has the deepest relationship will.
Yeah. I love that because it's a much safer space to be in.
Correct. Yeah.
And also when we think about those encounters, the emotional intelligence stuff really comes into play of self-awareness and how you're being perceived by this person as you're asking those questions, and also empathy and how they're reacting. Mm-hmm. It's so vital because sometimes you need to pivot, right?
Right.
Like, you've hit a nerve and you kind of back away and, sort of go in a different direction to get at it from a different direction, right? Cool. Anybody else?
I'm sorry, what was the exact question, Brett?
Well, just what are there any things that you tricks and tips or thought processes that you use to make that other person be the most important person, like making it all about them in a discussion or an encounter?
My first thing is a compliment, a sincere compliment
Okay,
about
yeah.
something I appreciate about them. It could be
All
their
right.
shoes or tie, or it could be a personality trait or
Yeah.
something.
All right. I like that. Puts people at ease. All right. There's an exercise we do that we're going to do right now. I'm going to slap you into some breakout rooms. You'll have a partner. I think you may have 3 people, but just kind of, roll your own if you got 3 people in there. But I'm going to put you in breakout rooms. And here's the exercise. One person is going to have a problem. It could be real or imaginary. It could be work or home, some kind of problem that you're experiencing right now, maybe with another person, or maybe just a problem that you're experiencing that you're willing to share. The other person is the listener. Listeners, as you're listening, you can't use any self-reference. You can't use the words I, me, my, or mine. No self-reference. You can say anything you want, and you can talk about anything you want. You just can't use any self-reference. Is everybody clear on the instructions? I'm going to give you about 2 minutes with your partner, and then I'm going to type in switch, and then you just switch those roles. The listener is now the problem person. The problem person is now the listener. Anybody have any questions? Okay, let's get into some breakouts. Hold on. There we go. Breakout rooms. And let's 2, 3. All right, here we go. Just hit join where you see join.
We made
Sounds-
it out alive.
Yeah,
That's
sounds like
good.
both Barbara and I are kind of struggling with age-related things.
Yeah.
We're there. We are there.
Yeah. All right. There's just a few more seconds left, and everybody will be sliding back in.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go.
No time. Nothing beats
Our-
time.
All right, everyone. How was that? Anybody just have some initial thoughts or reactions to that exercise? Anybody?
It's hard not to use those words you said not to use.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ego and the mind are hard to rewire quickly.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, you tend to usually relate your own stories to what they're sometimes to make them feel comfortable, but as Chad said, sometimes we get carried away and just start all of a sudden it's about us instead of them.
Right.
So, yeah.
And by the way, hi, Gina. It's nice to see you. Gina's an awesome.
Morning.
Yeah, this is great. Anybody else? Any initial impressions? Yeah, it is. So for some, it's really hard. For some, it's less hard. But we tend to self-reference. And again, sometimes that self-reference is in the context of connection. Like, I've had the same experience. I know what you're feeling. That's not what I'm talking about. Those are probably okay. But here's what we do most of the time, because guess what? Most of us, all of us in this Zoom call are problem solvers. That's what we get paid to do, right? We're good at it. It feeds our ego. We love solving problems. But guess what? Sometimes it's not about the problem. So we want to give that solution. We want to say, here, let me tell you how to do this. I did that one time, and here's what I did. Chris, what do you got?
Okay. It took me, so everybody knows, it took me a long time to take the focus off of myself with the, what I would do, saying or what you should do. It's not problems aren't one size fits all. What would work for me isn't going to work for you. And what's working for you isn't going to necessarily work for me. So, leaving questions open-ended sounds difficult. How, what do you think might be a solution?
Yeah.
and get into somebody's head of what they think might be a solution. And you go deeper, open-ended questions, active listening. But it took me a long time, probably over a year to learn to, and I still mess up here and there,
Yeah.
but
I do too.
I catch myself.
Yeah. It's really keeping that in the forefront. If you think that was hard, try to do that for a whole day. No self-reference for an entire day. Man, that's when you start really getting into, but what did it force you to do? Anybody? You had to listen more. Yeah,
Listen more.
Barbara tapped her ear. You had to make it about them. You had to ask more questions. You had to find out more information. You had
I wish I could go back to my partner now and say, what do you think what do you think would help?
Right. Right. Anybody else? Right.
I will say though, I think for me it wasn't as difficult just because for us, I try to avoid me, we, us in daily email.
Yeah.
So as a result, it's a daily exercise for Chad and I.
Yeah,
Oh,
we do
nice.
that. Yeah, we do that. We use the labeling. Seems like, sounds like, feels like.
Yeah.
This is. Yeah.
So we were at a little bit of an advantage in this exercise.
Yeah, it's nice to have that culture to fall back
Yeah.
on. It doesn't seem as hard or as strange, for sure.
No, but it forces you to get creative and actively listen. So you're actively trying to participate in the conversation without making it about you personally. So it is difficult to start. I had a really hard time with it, but it forced me to get creative and actually work around it.
Right. All right. So I've got a video I want to show you now. I'm gonna preface this video with it falls into gender stereotypes, but I think you'll enjoy it anyway because it's just well done and it really points up exactly what we're talking about. So let me share screen. We're going to share sound and we're going to do this. Check this out.
It's just, there's all this pressure, you know? And sometimes it feels like it's right up on me and I can just feel it, like literally feel it in my head, and it's relentless. And I don't know if it's going to stop. I mean, that's the thing that scares me the most, is that I don't know if it's ever going to stop.
Yeah. Well, you do have a nail in your head.
It is not about the nail.
Are you sure? Because, I mean, I'll bet if we got that out of there...
Stop trying to fix it.
No, I'm not trying to fix it. I'm just pointing out that maybe the nail is causing...
You always do this. You always try to fix things when what I really need is for you to just listen.
See, I don't think that is what you need. I think what you need is to get the nail
See, you're
out.
not even listening now.
Okay, fine. I will listen. Fine.
It's just... Sometimes it's like there's this achy... I don't know what it is. And I'm not sleeping very well at all. And all my sweaters are snagged. I mean, all of them.
Yeah, that sounds really hard.
It is. Thank you. Ow!
Come on, if you would just...
Don't...
Try to see things my way. Do I have to keep on talking till I can go on? We can work it out. We can work it out.
All right. So again, apologies for the gender stereotypes, but the whole point, you got the point, right? I mean, when people come to you, especially, hold on, I got to get back. There we go. All right. So when people come to you with a problem, they don't necessarily want you to solve their problem. Sometimes they just want to be listened to and understood. Right. And I think we lose that in this industry because we are problem solvers and we encounter tons of problems every day and we want to solve the problem. But sometimes that's not the reason they're coming to you. They just want to be listened to and understood. And sometimes we get to the problem, but we don't really listen and understand. And then that person feels discounted, feels ignored, feels all those things that they feel when you don't truly listen to what's going on with them. Anybody else? Anybody want to weigh in on this?
I think. Is it okay, Teresa?
Yeah,
I think it is difficult. I think I've suffered from this. I know others do, where, like you say, when you're one of the helpers, you feel like you want to help people, but you also have to understand that you're not the expert of everything either. So they might have a doctor they've gone to about the nail in their head, or they might have been advised to do something differently. Just because they are coming to you and you see their obvious problem doesn't mean that's the problem that they want to discuss.
Right.
They want to reference, they want to talk about. So it is very much making it about the other person and listening to them as what they need. And sometimes simple things are you looking to vent, or do you want a solution?
Yeah. And maybe it's that simple.
Yeah.
Just ask that question. Do you want me to help you solve this, or do you just need some support?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. That's a good approach. Anybody else?
The thing that came to mind, Brent, is the first time I had a moment about this was when a friend's mom passed, and I just sat there in silence with her, and there were no words, and she thanked me later for just the silence, just being with her. Yeah, and
it's so true. A friend of mine that's a priest, I said, man, how do you deal with like people and their family members dying and go to the hospital? And he said, all you got to do is just sit. Just sit and be there. You don't have to do anything.
I went through training for a grief coach, and one of the things that they said to be careful of is saying, you know, I know how you feel, or because you don't know how they feel. And listening is one of the key things that they say.
Right. Anyone else? Craig, you look like you have a halo around you. Have you ascended or something? Have you reached sainthood in some way? What's going on there?
I don't know. There's weird lighting in here. Fluorescent office trailer lights.
So I guess for today, again, we're running closer to the end of the time, but I want to let you know there's a lot of cool free stuff in my online store on the website. There's an emotional intelligence test. And if you have that tendency to self-sacrifice, it'll show up in your profile, and then you can target some specific things to work on that will help support you in the not just sacrificing yourself for others, you know, setting some better limits and boundaries and knowing that you got to take care of yourself first. There's also a body battery inventory, which measures stressors versus recovery items. Really cool. It gives you a number, and then you can do a before and after, work on either building in more recovery or reducing your stress, or both, and then take them in 6 months and see if the number changes. And then there's a nutrition survey. It tells us how your body's working, right? And it's based on physical symptoms. And it was made by a guy who sold supplements, and he wanted to have targeted supplements and targeted nutrition. So he created this test that he equated physical symptoms with things like, is your liver working well? Are you handling carbohydrates and processing? Are you processing proteins? What about your nervous system, parasympathetic, sympathetic dominance? What are the symptoms associated with that fight, flight, and exhaustion part of your nervous system? Things like adrenals, stuff like that. It's a cool little test. So those three they're just absolutely free. I encourage you to take them and see where you are in those. And then the other thing is, if anybody wants, I'm going to, in the chat, you'll see how to just take a free course, and you could take the course on communication skills that's in there, or any of them. There's stress management, time management, relationship skills, communication skills, presentation skills, all kinds of good stuff there. So that's how you do your free course. It's just a coupon that says free course, all caps. So that's about all I have. Did anybody have a good closer for us, or a good thought to send us into our weekend this week?
I'll give you a nice little fun joke.
Okay, good.
Just to make everybody laugh. Well, I think it's funny. What did the number 0 say to the number 8? Nice belt.
All right. I like that one. All right, guys. Anybody else before we sign off? Guys, have a wonderful weekend. I hope to see you next Friday. We'll figure out. We may just continue with this communication and connecting with other folks because I think it's so important, and I think it's something many of us struggle with, and many of the people on this call are helping the people that are struggling with that. So maybe we'll get some more good ideas and some exercises and some ways to do that in a better way. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. Great next week.
Thanks, Brett.
See you.
Brett.
All right.
Good seeing you, brother.
Good seeing you, Chris.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.